Thursday night crew, but thanks to the Twitter blackout, we decided to push it to Saturday night and make sure everybody was able to watch. So I'm your host, Jay Felicio, also go by GMNJ on Twitter. With me, as always, is my sidekick, Dan Turner. He's at EagleDanFF. How's it going tonight, Dan?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Enjoying the weekend. It goes by too fast, unfortunately, as always. With us tonight, we got a special guest, Mike Faeilla. He goes by DaddysHomeFF. What's going on, Mike?
Oh, nothing, man. Just stoked to be here. It's been, about a month in planning, so I'm happy we're finally here and live. Little few-day delay, but stoked to be here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it. So for those of you, this is the first time that you're on the show with us, our first and foremost is we want to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We will pretty much stop what we're doing and answer them. We've already got some lined up for you. We send out a tweet on usually Tuesdays or Wednesdays that asking for questions, and so we're able to, if we're able to get them ahead of time, we will be able to go a little bit more in depth. So if you want a little more in-depth question, go ahead and look out for our tweet on Thursday or Wednesday. First, we're going to jump into some news and notes. So, of course, it would have been nice to be able to talk about it right when it happened, but we're a few days later. We can have some time to let it sit and think about it just a little bit. So Le'Veon Bell signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike, I'm going to go with you first. What's your take on the whole situation?
Oh, well, I mean, first and foremost, I was bummed. I was really hoping for Buffalo. I had kind of pushed all my chips in on Buffalo. I just think he had the backfield to himself if he went there. What this does, it makes the situation messy. Certainly concerns me with CEH for two reasons. Number one, I mean, he's not getting it done on the goal line. I think you're going to see Bell picking up those inside the 20 carries. And number two, the talks about his pass blocking ability. And we know that that's somewhere where Le'Veon is actually solid at pass blocking and something that realistically Andy Reid's looking for in that offense. I am going very heavy that Le'Veon Bell went there with the expectation of getting at least 50 to 60% of the running back touches. I believe that when he was negotiating, I think he's looking at, number one, being able to get a ring, but number two, he's looking at putting up numbers. So I absolutely am not subscribing to the camp that he went there to be CEH's backup. I think this is a problem for CEH. I think this is a huge boom for Le'Veon Bell and for my fishbowl team in particular. So I'm thankful for that. But I think this is a big bump for Bell and a pretty big drop off for CEH.
Unfortunately, I have CEH on my Scott Fishbowl team, so I got him in the third round at least. It was before the ADP went crazy. But yeah, I think I got to agree with you on that. What do you think, Dan?
Well, as a CH owner as well, it was literally, I was crying. I'm not going to lie. I literally wanted any other team in the league but Kansas City. And of course,
I think we all knew it was going to wind up being Kansas City, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't blame Le'Veon. Even he wants a ring. The offense is like perfect for him. He's gonna do well, unfortunately for me. But great boon for Bell owners. I think that eventually he's gonna be the starting back. I mean, he's accomplished. CH just hasn't been getting done at the goal line as hard as it for me to say. I mean, he has plenty of chances and he just can't get it done. So I think going forward, eventually you'll see Bell taking the majority of the snaps.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that it's going to be one of those things where Bell should have the most consistent value, but I could also see a case where he's not going to be completely out of the game. But if CEH gets hot, I could see Andy Reid riding the hot hand. So I think they're both going to – Le'Veon's going to be more in that high-end RB2 with, the potential for blow-up weeks, where CEH, for me at least, is going to be more of a back-end RB2 flex, just depending on, what kind of week. If Bell's going off, he's going to continue to feed him the ball. Like you said, Le'Veon Bell isn't the type of guy to go somewhere to be somebody's backup. He went to play. So if he was going to go, if he was worried about that, he would have went and got paid in Miami. So I think I'm with you. I think it's unfortunately a big drop-off for CEH's value. Not completely, but and I will say, I think if somebody's willing to pay the King's ransom, thinking that Le'Veon's going to be 2017 Le'Veon, I'm all about trading him. It depends what you get. I'm not saying give him away, but especially in dynasty leagues, if you're able to really, really get something good for him, I'd be looking to move him. So we're going to move on to some viewer questions. The first question is from Jesse Garcia. Dan's favorite player, should he drop Preston Williams for Keelan Cole, Hamler, Sterling Shepard, Pascal, or Patrick? Dan, we'll start off with you on this one.
Yes, drop him for all of them. I mean, what did you expect me to say? I've been on the Preston.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been trying to derail the Preston Williams train for what, 4 weeks now?
Really?
I mean, Patrick's been doing well. I mean, with Sutton not Sutton hurt.
He's been banged up, and he's been doing good with Ripien and with what's the old dump truck's name? Driscoll.
Are you actually defending Preston Williams again?
I am. Did you see what happened this week?
No. What happened this week?
He had a good game, finally. It took 5 weeks, but, he finally had a good game.
Is he going to have another one?
Why us Preston Williams truthers are excited about him. Not saying it's going to be consistent, but he's, out of all those guys, I could see Keelan Cole if you need a safe 10 points or something like that, but Keelan Cole's ceiling is not what Preston Williams' ceiling is. Yeah, Williams has a floor of 0, but I would much rather, for that type of player, for that type of spot on your roster, I'd rather have Preston Williams.
Yeah, but Preston Williams' ceiling, you can't even barely see his ceiling. It's so far away. He never is going to reach it. It's ridiculous. How you defend this guy?
Okay, all right. Well, Mike, what do you think? What's your take?
All right, so let me split the difference here. Preston Williams, absolutely, I'm taking out of this list. There's just nothing I'm interested in. And to be honest, you drafted a guy coming off of a major knee injury, and now you want to drop him when he's potentially starting to get healthy. The schedule from Miami, pretty soft from here on out. Definitely some matchups there. I am not a Preston Williams guy. Just not. You guys know, anyone who follows me on Twitter, but there's just nothing here in this list that makes me interested. Now, Jay, I am going to challenge you a little bit though, because I'm going against Dan's answer.
That's fine.
But I'm not going to let you get away with using Preston Williams last week. He went up against Brian Allen, practice squad Brian Allen, who put up possibly the worst cornerback performance in NFL history.
Yes,
he also got torched by Devontae Parker for a 41-yard touchdown. I mean, this guy legitimately, I haven't played in 25 years, and I'm fairly certain I could have taken him to the post the way he was playing. So I'm not going to let you claim this one.
Okay, all right.
Week was Preston Williams' week. Isaiah Ford would have put up numbers against Allen. Irving Fryer could have come back and put up numbers against Brian Allen. That wasn't impressive to me. What is impressive, realistically, is just the schedule. I'm not seeing really a hardcore play for, honestly, most of the year. So I like him in that respect. But honestly, you could have brought me any wide receiver too, and I would have jumped at it. You gave me a pile of garbage, so I have to get Preston Williams here.
I'm with you there, absolutely. So we'll move on to the next question from Kevin S. at FF Grinder. He needs to sit one with PPR scoring. Devonta Freeman, Slayton, or Chase Edmonds? Mike, we'll start with you on this one.
You had me at Devonta Freeman. He's garbage. Sit him. Absolute trash. I couldn't. If you think I don't like Preston Williams, Devonta Freeman is literally so much lower than that for me. So you could have given me, what do we got here? Slayton, absolutely. Edmonds, no question. You could have brought literally almost anybody, and I'm going to say Freeman. So I'm very easily in the Edmonds Slayton camp there.
All right. What do you think, Dan?
I got to agree with Mike there. I mean, Freeman is just awful. And the D-line for Washington is fantastic, so he's not going to find much running room. The Giants' offense is trash, like I told you a couple weeks ago. Slayton should get some garbage time points, and Edmonds is working himself into the starting job probably because Drake is terrible. So definitely just Freeman.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm going to say you got to sit Freeman too. And one thing to also take into consideration, one, it's very rare that you're going to want to start a running back and a wide receiver from the same team. This Giants offense, obviously, I'm a Giants fan. This is not the offense you want to start a running back and a wide receiver from on the same team. So it would be no question between Freeman and Slayton for me. And similar to what I was talking about earlier, Slayton he's got a 0 floor, but he's got the much higher ceiling. Freeman, you're going to get 10 points maybe from if he gets some dump offs and stuff like that. Maybe a little better if he falls into the end zone somehow, although I don't know if the Giants know where the end zone is. But Edmonds is continuing to chip away at Kenyon Drake's work, and I think on Monday Night Football I could see Edmonds going crazy against that terrible Cowboys defense. So, yeah, clean sweep and go Slayton and Edmonds for you. Next question is from Corey Johnson. Would you trade Alexander Madison for Pittman? I'm going to go ahead and guess your guys' answer is a no on this one, because I don't see how anybody, even with Pittman coming back in a few weeks, why you would trade Madison for Pittman.
I would have to agree. I was thinking about it, whether he meant redraft or dynasty, but either way, I wouldn't do it either way, because Madison, when he has the work, is a stud. I mean, he had 20 carries, over 100 yards last week. He's getting to start this week. I mean, we don't even know when Pittman's going to be fully healthy. So redraft is out of the question. In dynasty, I always take the running back over the receiver.
The only way I would consider this, if you are just insanely deep at running back and have nothing at wide receiver. But, Dalvin Cook has proven he's not able to stay healthy, and I think it's going to be an issue for his entire career. It was his issue back in college. So when Madison's in there, he slots it right in as a running back one. He could potentially be, a top 5 guy this week with the matchup. So there's no way that I would do it. But what do you think, Mike?
See, I'm not in the Madison train. I'm a Boone guy. So
wow, you're a Mike Boone guy. I like it.
Oh yeah, I think Mike Boone gets 30% of the touches this week. I think he's going to surprise you with how he cuts in. Madison's an RB2 at best. No chance in redraft. I'm 100% on board with that. In dynasty, though, I am absolutely taking this trade. I agree with you.
I do agree with you on dynasty. I think I would take Pittman. If Dalvin Cook wouldn't have signed this contract in the offseason, maybe that's a different story, because there was potential for him to move on. But
absolutely. Once the extension came in. Yep, right. No question. Dynasty, Pittman's a smash for me. Redraft, Madison's a smash. It's pretty easy. Which format you play, and that'll give you the answer.
We do have a question from the chat from Eric Johnson. Godwin coming off a hamstring injury or Devontae Parker against the lowly Jets? That's a good one. That's a good question. What do you think, Dan?
I'll probably go Parker, just because it's the Jets, and the Jets are a flaming dumpster fire of a team right now. So with Parker being healthier than Godwin has probably the higher ceiling if they were both healthy. But going against the matchup favors Parker in this, so I go Parker.
What you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to go Parker. We talked a little bit about why Preston Williams was focused on last week. It was Brian Allen. The Jets right now, they are 14th against opposing wide receivers, but that was seriously aided by the week 2 game against the 49ers. If you remember, that was the Jimmy G injury game. Mm-hmm. Jordan Reed went for 2 touchdowns in the first half. If you take that out, they're bottom 3rd in the league against wide receivers, and Parker's the unquestioned number 1 in Miami. I'm smashing him this week. He is a guy I'm getting in every lineup I can. So while I like Godwin, this is an easy one to give him a week to work himself back into shape and play Parker as a smash start this week.
I'm going to disagree with you guys. Godwin's the type of guy, for me at least, that if he's out there with one leg, I'm starting him. Especially, it seemed like he's really had a connection with Brady and Mike Evans. Even with Godwin being out, Evans really hasn't done that much. Yeah, he's got some touchdowns, but that's all he's caught. Granted, that's good and all, but it's not what you would expect from your wide receiver one. And I could see a situation with elite Joe Flacco out there where the Dolphins get up big and just continue to feed the ball to Myles Gaskin and not have to throw the ball that much. So Parker's the safe play. I agree with you there, but Godwin is just a guy that I can't sit if he's active. So we will start rolling back to our questions from Twitter. Omar J asks, Dalton versus the Cards or Cousins versus the Falcons? Mike, what you think on that one?
Well, I mean, given the fact that Cousins is the reason my face looks this way, it's really, really hard to trust him. However, in this case, I am going to go with Cousins. I just think that Dalton, people are expecting him to slate in at that 40 to 50 passing attempts like we're seeing from Prescott. People are thinking we're going to see the same offense. That's just not what I'm vibing from him. I think he's certainly going to step in and play well, but he's still Andy Dalton. In this case, I think we have a big Zeke week coming up for the Cowboys, and I think I'm going to go with Cousins to play that kind of solid 260, 270, 2 to 3 touchdowns, good enough to get you by a quarterback rather than trusting Andy Dalton without seeing him in a full game yet.
What do you think, Dan?
I just can't trust Kirk Cousins as much as the matchup favors him. I mean, Atlanta's given up the most fantasy points to the QB position, but I think that Dalton just has too many weapons, and I don't expect him to just step in and be anywhere near what Dak was, but he was a pretty decent QB with much less weapons in Cincinnati. And while he might not be that same kind of quarterback anymore, I think that this matchup, I would go with Dalton.
I'm going to break the tie here, and I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. Couple things. Yeah, it is Kirk Cousins. It's we have him to thank for that beautiful mustache that Mike is rocking. But the matchup's too good, and he surprised me. Normally primetime games, he sucks it up, and with a good matchup against Seattle, yeah, he started off terrible, but he wound up just fine. Maybe that has something to do with not having, a large crowd, and maybe he's definitely somebody that gets in his own head. But I'll touch on this more later when we start talking about Dak's injury. But it's Andy Dalton. Like, I think he's got the best weapons he's ever had, but Andy Dalton is the definition of a mediocre quarterback. Yeah, he's good. He'll have his big games, but he's also had games. I remember very vividly 2017. I think it was week 1. He wound up with negative fantasy points because he had like 170 yards and four interceptions. So, yeah, he's got his best supporting cast in Dallas he's ever had, and he's going to have some highs, but his floor is less than 0. So, for me, I'm going to have to go with Cousins on that one. We'll move on to the next question from Duke Fartworth, Socratic Theory. Our boy Preston Williams or TJ Hawkinson at flex? Dan, you look extremely happy about another Preston Williams question, so let's go to you first on this one.
How do we get 2 Preston Williams questions in one show?
People love Preston Williams.
He's
the man of the people.
I don't get it. I'm going to go with Hawkinson. I think he has the better matchup going this week. Not that my Preston Williams hate is well documented, but I think that Hawkinson with the matchup against the Jaguars is just too good to pass up. So in this case, I'll go with Hawkinson, even though I know Preston Williams is facing the Jets. I know, but I think Detroit's going to find Hawkinson and if he's going to score touchdowns. So Hawkinson.
All right, what you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hawkinson here as well. Take away that Saints game, which was a little bit of an oddity. He only had 9 yards. He did get the touchdown to save his day, but he's been looking at steady targets, 50-plus receiving yards, has a cakewalk matchup this week. If you're not going to play him this week, I can't understand why he's on your roster to begin with. The Jags are 26th against the tight end. I think he's a pretty easy play this week.
Yep, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. As much as I love Preston Williams, I think this is a Hawkinson breakout game, so I'm with you. The matchup's too good. He's not getting a ton of targets, but he is a second on the team in targets, I believe. And it's against, like you said, the matchup he can't beat. So 26 against the tight end, it's going to get ugly. And Jacksonville can score too, so I could see this being a sneaky shootout where both teams are putting up points. So I'm gonna do a clean sweep. Hawkinson over the love of my life, Preston Williams. We got another one from Jose Alvarado. Akers, Swift, Henderson, or Justin Jackson the rest of the season? Mike, let's go with you on this one.
I'm on record that DeAndre Swift is a league winner this year, starting with this week. I don't think this is even remotely close for me. DeAndre Swift's a guy I'm grabbing everywhere. I think that Peterson's just not going to keep hold of that job. Kerryon Johnson has said that the knee brace is him and he's the knee brace, just exactly what you want to hear from a
Exactly.
I think Swift takes this over. I think Patricia can't have his head that far up his ass to keep Swift on the bench much longer.
I don't know. He's from the Belichick tree, so
it's possible.
It's that far up there.
But yeah, I don't. I mean, realistically, I think the other 2 guys that you mentioned, Akers and Henderson, are going to vulture each other. Jackson still is Kelly if he learns how to hold on to the ball. And based on the reports that I've seen, Eckler's only a 6-week out. So you're looking at a potential 0 for the fantasy playoffs, which that's why we play, right? You want to get to the playoffs and win them. So he's out just from that alone. I think Swift is a clear-cut winner in this group.
Dan, what you think?
I'm going to agree with everything Mike had to say. I know we're touching on it a little bit before the show started. This is a prime matchup for Swift. I think that, he obviously has the talent. So if he can't get it done this week, he has to get it done this week pretty much. against the Jag. But everyone else, like Mike said, Akers and Henderson are going to cancel out, and Jackson, I just don't really want any part of, to be honest. So
yep. I'm going to agree with you guys on that too. Swift's it for me. The only guy I could maybe see making an argument for would be Akers, but it's obvious that the Rams want to use that three-headed committee, and it's going to be until somebody really takes control, which the only one that I think could do that is Akers. That it's going to be a mess back there. And Swift, I think I was telling you guys before the show started, I think he's going to be this year's Miles Sanders. I think this is when the takeover is going to start. Everybody didn't think much of Sanders because the way that Howard was playing at the beginning of the season, and by the end of the year, he helped me win a couple championships because I was all in on Miles Sanders last year. So I think this is the week to start. Even if it's not, it's only a matter of time. They're already reducing Peterson's snap count, so it's a matter of time. And we got another one from I'm Right Sports with Chase Edmonds or Kenyon Drake this year and beyond. Let's go, Dan. What you think?
I'm going to go Edmonds. I think that for whatever reason, Drake just isn't performing like we'd expect him to this year. I think that Edmonds is more of a threat out of the backfield in the receiving game. He's a little bit younger than Drake, I believe. So going forward, it looks like Edmonds is digging into Drake's job, and he might end up overtaking him. So for me, Edmonds. Excuse me.
What you think, Mike? Drake or Edmonds?
Yeah, Edmonds pretty easily on this one. If you even look at last week, Drake really needed a ton of touches to get even a respectable game, got that garbage time touchdown. Edmonds was right out of the gate. He's getting the passing work. And especially when you talk about beyond, this was Drake's year to play for his contract. This was his year to make his money. He's not. And what they're going to look to do is find any reason to put the money elsewhere. And I think that Kenyon Drake is not with the Cardinals next year unless he takes a significant discount because he hasn't earned that bell cow money. So I think you're going to see more and more of Edmonds. And I think when you look at, number one, the talent is there for Edmonds, but first and foremost, the financials for Arizona strongly favor that they go with Chase Edmonds rather than paying the upcoming free agent.
Yep, absolutely. And the big part, too, that made Kenyon Drake such a league winner at the end of last year was he was getting everything. He was getting the passing work. He was getting the goal line work. He was getting the early down. Now, Kyler Murray's he's calling his own number at the goal line. And man, it's fun to watch him play. Some of those moves he's pulling on guys, just unbelievable. It's like watching, blacktop basketball with some of the moves that he's throwing on the guys. And like you said, it's Edmonds is catching more and more of the work as the season's going on. I think it's going to be a 50-50 split. And especially in PPR leagues, Edmonds the guys that you want. Drake's getting some production on volume alone. He's still, their numbers are close, and he's still Drake's like at 70% of the snaps or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. So if that goes down at all, Drake's just his value is going to fall down even further. And he reminds me a lot of another guy that came from Miami, Lamar Miller. It was always, Lamar Miller, as soon as he gets the backfield to himself and he gets the work, he's going to be a stud. And he's proven that he's getting the volume now. Same thing when Lamar Miller went to Houston. He was getting the volume. He wasn't what everybody thought he was. So we got one last one from our fearless leader, Jeff Lambert. Darius Slayton or Laviska Shenault. If he plays Shenault, he has to activate him from the taxi squad, and he can't go back on it. So that definitely plays a role. Mike, we're going to go with you first on this one. Would you go Darius Slayton or Laviska Shenault in this scenario?
So I'll tell you, any other year I'm going Slayton. This year, though, I'm going to go Shenault. And the reason why I say that is I don't believe that Jeff will be able to carry Shenault on his practice squad for the duration. I think this is a problem he's going to have at some point, no matter what, whether it's injury, whether it's COVID. We have buys coming up. There's just so much influx right now that I think expecting to float somebody who, if I'm not mistaken, is 14th in the league right now as a wide receiver, to expect to float him on your taxi squad, you better be really, really deep. And then when you look at this week in particular, I mean, Washington is giving up absolutely nothing to wide receivers. We did go Slayton earlier just because it was Devonta Freeman. It wasn't because I expect him to have a big week. I mean, Washington, I believe, is 4th against the wideouts as it stands right now. And then you look at Chenault having a really nice matchup against Detroit. The matchup favors him. I mean, 25th against wideouts is a huge game for Chenault. So if I thought he could carry Chenault the duration of the year, I might say roll the dice with Slayton. I just don't see that happening. So you might as well do it now because it's going to happen eventually. Pull him off your taxi squad. Get him in your lineup to expect a big week.
Dan, what you think? My boy Visca, or are we going with Slayton?
I think that, to Mike's point, leave him on the practice squad all year unless you're super deep and have completely missed the injury bug / COVID all year. You're going to have to play Visca eventually. I think he has some good matchups. He's shown that he's climbing up the depth chart in Jacksonville. So I think that you should play Laviska.
I hate to agree with you guys continuously, but I'm going to do a clean sweep on this one. It's well documented that I'm a Laviska truther with Mike, our boy Dynasty Humble Senior. He's the one who is there's no question he's the president of the Laviska Shenault fan club. I would say I'm the vice president. You could be my co-vice president if you want, but I've been touting that guy since before the season started. So pretty much for all the same reasons you guys said. The Washington does have a fierce pass rush, and the Giants' O-line is trash. Danny Dimes can't hold on to the ball. He's not going to have time to really throw. Slayton can make your week with one big play, but other than that, and since we are talking about Laviska Shenault, I thought, why not better to bring
there he is,
Laviska Shenault himself, Mr. Dynasty Humble Senior. If you're not following this guy on Twitter, make sure you do. That's my guy, Jesse. What's up, man?
Yo, what's good, boys? You guys thought you guys were going to talk about Visca and not hear from me?
Yeah, I wish we had big money and I could do a soundboard because I would have busted the Stone Cold theme music on as soon as you hopped in here.
Nah, dude, I had to steal a segment from you guys, man. I had to take over one because you guys were talking about Visca. I felt my ears were rumbling.
It's like the bat signal.
Yeah, dude. It was in the sky and I came flying down.
Going on to the next segment. Is Laviska Shenault here to stay? And Jesse, we're going to start with you, man. He's your boy. Let's hear what you got to say.
Well, I think he's here to stay. And the thing that's impressive about Visca right now is that he's number 2 on team in targets. And it's not behind Chark. It's actually behind Cole, I think it is. Yeah. One of them. Anyway, doesn't matter. He's number 2 on team in targets. He's number 2 in the team in total touches behind Robinson. So, of course, he's here to stay. His last 3 games, he had 6, 6, and 8 targets. So he's progressively getting there. The one thing that's good, and I know it's good but bad, is they're not using him in the rushing attack. And you're going to say, why is that good? Because they're not risking his injury. It's showing you that he's not a gimmick or a gadget player like a lot of these guys on Twitter I see saying he's Cordell Patterson and all this other nonsense. He's a receiver, and they're using him as a receiver. So his receiving work is impressive right now. His yards are steady over 79 and 86 the last 2 weeks. And I think it's just moving up. And I'm pretty sure Chark is out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and he's actually outpacing Chark, too, in targets. So I know Chark missed the week, but he's still outpacing him. So Minshew's doing a pretty good job of spreading out the targets a little bit. But, man, this guy's super explosive and impressive. I would love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, and everything you said, since you're the president of the Visca fan club, I'll go second since I'm the VP. Mike, I know you're in there too, but everything you said, he's coming off a season high in targets and catches. Yeah. He scored double digits in 4 out of the 5 games this season. Jacksonville's throwing the ball 40 times a game. He's getting more and more involved. And granted, he's not rushing as much as he was, but they're still using him there a little bit. So that's just an extra, a cherry on top. They obviously want him involved in this offense. With Chark out, he's going to get some more work this week. So I think the arrow's pointing up, and he's somebody that I'm very happy that I came across you on Twitter to show me that how much Laviska Shenault can be a league. I think he's going to be a league winner, honestly.
Yeah, I hope so. And also, he was so cheap, man. We talk about, dynasty all the time and how these guys, you get third-round picks. I mean, he was a late second, early third. I mean, it was an easy smash at that value, man. Yep. What do you guys think, man?
Mike, we'll go with you on this one.
You made it weird, man, because I have a shout out to Jesse in the show notes here when we started talking about Chenault, because I literally can't say Chenault without saying his name. I like to give credit.
At that, I was like, you know what? I got to get him on when we start talking about Viska.
You have to. So I picked him up 17th round of the fishbowl. Like, literally, I still think that's going to be the steal of my team. I mean, he's putting up numbers. The big thing for me was, honestly, like, I expected him to be that Swiss Army knife this year. I didn't see Robinson coming. I'll be the first one to admit it. I thought that they were going to have nothing in the backfield, so I thought maybe a few more carries. But what I didn't see coming was, man, 20 targets over 3 games, and he is looking good with them too. I mean, he's not just making the catch going down. This is a yards after catch guy. This is like in the mold of DJ Moore. And I keep, like you said, I hear Jesse saying people call him a gadget player. No, this kid, yak monster and a big dude. Like, you want to talk about these gadget players, the one thing they all have in common is the reason they're gadget players is because they are not big enough to play the standard positions, and that's what people miss. You want to talk Tavon Austin, you want to talk Dexter McCluster. These are the names we give to gadget players. It's because they don't have that prototype body that will allow them to stand up to the beating going across the middle. This is a 6'1", 225 monster. So this is not a gadget player by any stretch, by size. So people get confused when they say, oh, he can carry the ball and he can catch the ball. Well, that's a bonus to me. The reason why you have these other guys getting gadget plays is because they're just not big enough and strong enough to take the pounding of the NFL. And this guy is an absolute beast. I am all in on him, not just this year, but beyond as well.
Dan? Pretty much everything's been said. We're all fans of Laviska Shenault.
Far be it from me to break up the fan club love. I agree. To be fair, I did not think he would be as good as he is this soon. I think the fact that Shark can't stay healthy. I hate the term gadget player. I prefer to think of him as an offensive weapon.
Well, Gerson just said it. He's hybrid player.
Yeah, he's proven he can handle the receiving work. If he gets a rush there now and then, it's a bonus. I think that he's working himself into, wide receiver 1 on the Jags. Yeah. So I agree with all you guys. Great points.
Jesse, we got. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. PFF has him as not PFF. I'm sorry. Player Profiler has him as comped to AJ Brown. I actually said he was AJ Brown before I even saw that. And he just looks so much like him. They win the same way. They win after the catch. They do that. They have the same shiftiness. AJ Brown's a little bit more shifty, I think, than Viska, but I think Viska's more of an animal with the ball in his hand. He's a little harder to get down. I think he's a little thicker. But yeah, man, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. Absolutely, no problem. I was just gonna say, I know the original plan was for you to just come on for the Viska thing, but we've got some questions. If you want to hang out, you're welcome to, or if you need to go, you can go too.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to share, I'm cool with it. Whatever you guys have.
We've got some questions in the chat. We're gonna start rolling down these. Gerson's asking, in a 16-team dynasty startup, full PPR, would you accept an offer of Antonio Gibson from Madison? Keep in mind you own Dalvin Cook and Antonio Gibson. Let's see. Mike, let's go with you to start off on this one. So would you trade Gibson for Madison if you are the Gibson owner and you also have Dalvin Cook?
Oh, I thought it was the reverse. I thought he was getting Gibson.
No, he's got
Cook and Gibson. He's trading for Madison.
Right. No, hell no. Do not even think about it. You better be getting a first-round pick attached to that beast of Antonio Gibson in Dynasty. You better not think of moving that man for a backup running back. Please don't. That would be a horrible mistake.
Well, not only that too, but let's you're limiting yourself to one backfield. Yeah, you're set with the Vikings backfield, but if Cook stays healthy and Gibson's a beast that we all think he is, you got yourself 2 running backs instead of just 1. So you limit your upside. There's no way I would do that. What you think, Dan?
Yeah, I agree. You're basically trading Gibson for a backup, for a handcuff, pretty much. There's no way with how Gibson's been playing and projected in the future that I would make that deal.
Jesse, what you think?
Yeah, clean sweep, man. Yeah, they said it perfectly. I got nothing more to add.
All right,
Yeah.
Daniel's asking, more points rest of the season, Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz? I didn't read this one before I put it up.
That is awesome. It's close. It's close, Daniel. Neck and neck.
I didn't read that before I put it up. That's good.
You did that on purpose.
If you
I've got
have
Carson
Wentz
Wentz all over
in
the place. So as much as I want to make fun of the Eagles, it hurts because it's hurting my fantasy team. So I'm going to go with Dak Prescott on this one. No, I'm just playing. Let's go to the next question. Let's see. We got our guy Chase that hopped in there. We just got to say what's up to him. We got one of the lowdown dirties asking, how do you feel about Christian Kirk this week? Have to start 2. Brandon Cooks, Chark, Christian Kirk, T. Higgins. Well, I'm pretty sure that Chark is out this week. Even if he's active, if he's going to be out there, I think he's going to be a decoy, so I wouldn't start him. Kirk, I know he's looked better this past couple of weeks, but he's just completely disappeared most of the season. So for me, you're taking a chance with Cooks, but I would go Cooks and Higgins this week. I just think that Kirk has got that floor 0, and I really don't like that. Jesse, what you think?
There's one player I like less than almost anybody on Twitter community. It's Christian Kirk. I want nothing to do with that guy. I never want him on my teams. Give me Cooks. Give me Higgins. I'll take them. I'll ride with them. Higgins has been pretty involved. Sam Wallace has been posting a lot about Higgins, actually, and he got me really into Higgins. And Cooks, man, I mean, he had a monster week last week, and I think that momentum maybe will be going forward with Bill O'Brien out. So, yeah, I'd go those 2 over Kirk, man.
Mike, what you think?
I love you guys, but y'all got to look at the schedule before you start answering these questions. The people deserve better. So we have the number 1 pass defense, and T. Higgins is going against the Colts. This is not your dad's Colts. This is the best defense in football currently. And Christian Kirk, as pathetic as he is going against Dallas. I have to go Kirk here just on matchup alone. I just don't think that. I think Burrow's going to struggle mightily against the Colts. That is a stout defense right now across the board.
I hope so. I've got them all over. I've got the Colts defense everywhere. So I hope this week.
It's spectacular. So I will say that if this was a rest of the season question, I am all in with you guys. I am Higgins and Cooks all over the place. In this particular week, though, as much as you have to hold your nose to do it, I think you have to start Christian Kirk against that pathetic Dallas defense over throwing Higgins out there against Indy. I just see a potential of Cincinnati putting up 9 points this week.
Dan, it's 2-1. We got 2 against Kirk, 1 for Kirk.
It's going to be 3-1 because I'm not starting Kirk over anybody.
There you go.
Garbage points still count as points. So even if Indy blows Cincinnati out, Higgins at the end of the game, he seems to be building a rapport with Burrow. So I'm going Higgins and Cooks. No way.
AJ Green just looks like he is not interested in playing for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore. He's going to get, he's hurt. He's not motivated. He's going to have to throw the ball. I don't trust Christian Kirk. I'm with you on that one. So we got another question from Gerson. Let's see. 16 team. Oh no, he must have posted that twice. So let's move on. Jason Scott Nestor, start Minshew if Chark doesn't play, or Cousins. Ugh indeed. I think I would go Minshew with that, even without Chark. It's a great matchup. Visca and Cole have shown that they can pull their weight. For me, I would go Minshew in this matchup. Jesse, what you think?
Dude, I don't have any notes in front of me, man. Who does Cousins got? I'm
Cousins
so sorry.
Plays the Falcons, and Minshew plays who the Jaguars play?
Right?
Detroit.
I mean, I guess Cousins, man. Atlanta sucks. They can't cover anybody. You just gotta hope that Cousins doesn't do one of the 179 and 2 in the first quarter, first half, and then does nothing in the second way. But I'll take Cousins with Cook out, and maybe hopefully they air it out a little bit. Maybe it's a wake up game for Atlanta, and they can kind of get to an early lead and then blow it late, and like they always do. So yeah, I'll try. I'll throw Cousins out there.
And Julio is supposed to be, well, he's not on the injury report, but he'd likely be back this week. So Dan, what do you think? Minshew or Cousins?
I'm gonna go Minshew. He's gonna throw about 600 times. I can't possibly start Cousins. My blood pressure can't handle it. I think with Visca, Robinson, Cole there, he has enough weapons that he'll do well.
I'm just so happy you came to the Visca side. Like it just
I was never not on the Visca side. I just wasn't.
You weren't against them, but you didn't have the undying love like we all do.
No, I seen the light.
Mike, what you think? You going? I got a feeling since Cousins is responsible for that beautiful mustache, I think I might know where you're going here. But
this is what I hate about this show. You guys are going to make me say two nice things about Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
crazy! The man cost me my beard last week, but Atlanta is hot garbage. Julio is back off the injury report. I think Atlanta's going to put up some numbers. I see a shootout. Man, if Chark was in, I'd go Minshew, but with no Chark, I'm going to go Kirk Cousins on this one. And just as disgusted as I am, I think he's the play.
We got a question from my guy Marty Smith. Full PPR, Gibson or Montgomery? And he said, "What's up? What's up, Marty? That's my boy. He's one of my closest friends. Even though I talk to him every day. He lives in Canada. We've never met, but he's a great guy. Beamer cleaner on Twitter. So, I think Montgomery is just another guy. I think he's a bum. I think he's been producing solely on volume because they have no other running backs on that roster that are worth anything. So Gibson is going to go off against the Giants. The Giants are terrible on offense, on defense, everything. You're welcome, Jason. Feel free to ask any more questions. I'm going Gibson, and it's not even close for me. Mike, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away my later on bold prediction, but it's Gibson here by a mile for me.
Jesse, Gibson or Montgomery?
Yeah, this is gonna be my last question. I gotta put my daughter to bed. I'm so sorry, but listen, I appreciate you boys having me on, man. It was a blast chopping it up with you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
We'll definitely have you on as a guest here in the next few weeks.
Hey, I would love it. I would love to be on with you guys, man. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna go Gibson right there, and yeah, man. I hope he runs all over the Giants because I'm from New York and I hate the Giants, man. I know you're a Giant fan, but I'm sorry.
Love it.
That's what happens. So thanks for hopping on, man. I appreciate it, and we'll have you on soon.
Listen, appreciate it, boys, man. Be good. Have a good rest of the show.
All right? See you, man.
Always fun, bro.
All right, Dan, what you think, Gibson?
I'm going to disagree. I think Montgomery with Cohen being out, I think he's going to get all the carries. Carolina has given up the most fantasy points to running backs. Gibson, the Giants suck. But
look what Kenny Drake did against that.
Yeah,
exactly.
But
so I think Drake's better running back than Montgomery, but take that for what it's worth. But
yeah, I think just the matchup and Montgomery getting all the work, I'm going to go with Montgomery.
All right. So we got one more. Tyler Lockett and Myles Gaskin for Lev Bell and Deebo Samuel redraft. If somebody's willing to give you Tyler Lockett and Myles Gaskin for Lev Bell and Deebo, I would jump on that in a heartbeat. That's not even close for me.
Absolutely. Just take it. Don't even listen to us. Just go hit accept now.
Yep.
Lockett and Gaskin, hit the button, move on.
Yep. Just close your computer, grab your phone, accept. As our boy would say, smash accept. That's Jesse's catchphrase. So
yeah, then come back though, because we still got more show.
Right,
so
right.
Don't leave.
I think we got all the questions. So, but continue to ask questions as we're going through some stuff. Feel free. That's what we're here for. So since we wound up having a lot of questions, I'm going to jump around a little bit. So you guys stay on your toes. Let's see. We've already talked about Visca. Mike, we're going to start with you on this one. What do you think the fantasy impact of Dak's injury on the Dallas offense is?
Well, I mean, the first one that jumps out is, number one, my wasted picks of Michael Gallup all of a sudden are back to life. He was looking at him the way that I look at chocolate chip cookies after dinner, like staring him down just with this happy look on his face. And man, did Gallup make it count. That garbage non-PI call, he still made the catch down the sidelines. I mean, he got completely pulled backwards. The level of athleticism and attention to detail to make that catch is spectacular. Gallup proved it was insane. And the second one is, I know waivers already ran, so we were trying to get this in a little earlier, but I mean, you should be emptying the clip in super flex on Andy Dalton. You're never going to get a guy with those weapons. Now, I don't think he's Dak Prescott, but when you're talking a super flex, fishbowl league, anywhere you can play two quarterbacks, I hope you completely empty the clip. This is not someone that you should have been waiting back on. If you have $100 in fab, throw it all at them, because that's what you have to do at this point. So this is gold for super flex players.
Yep.
And for people who have Michael Gallup. Those are the two takeaways for me. Those are the two big boosts at this point.
I blew, even though I already had 3 quarterbacks into the fishbowl, I went ahead and blew 100 just to get them. 1, to keep them away from people, and 2, with COVID and everything this year, you never know when you're going to need an extra quarterback. So I'm with you. I'm not quite as high as everybody on Dalton, and it's not that I don't think he can put up big numbers. It's just, it's Andy Dalton. He's got that. Yeah, he's going to have a ceiling with these, the weapons that he has, but he's still got that rock bottom floor that scares me. I think he is a perfect quarterback too for super flex leagues. He's not somebody that I don't play in any one quarterback league. I think I am in one. I apologize, but he's not somebody that I'm comfortable as an every week starter. Matchups when they're right, he definitely can play them. But super flex, yeah, he's playing every week. But I think you got to downgrade everybody other than Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper. Not anything drastic, but like you said, Dalton's not Dak, so it's definitely a little bit of a downgrade. And I really feel like for Zeke, it's going to be everything that it has been. It's not going to change him that much. Yeah, he's probably going to get a few more touches here and there, but defenses are going to be able to key in on him more, knowing that they're not going to have to worry about Dak Prescott back there. So I think it's going to be pretty much a wash. Tony Pollard might see some extra touches here or there, but the only way he's really getting any run is if Zeke gets hurt, which hopefully doesn't happen. But Dan, what's your take?
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I don't think it changes much. Gal probably gets a bump of value. I think Dalton Schultz probably gets a bump of value, considering how well Dalton did with the tight end in Cincinnati. But other than that, Zeke should get a couple more carries. But otherwise, everything should be pretty much how it was.
We got another question from our guy, Jason. Bye weeks are killing me. Ingram or Lindsey with Gordon out? Ingram is Philly, and Lindsey has the Pats. I would 100% start Lindsey. Honestly, at this point, you can cut Ingram. He's not. Excuse me. He's not producing. It is a true committee. I think they all have 20% of the backfield or something along those lines. He's a name right now. I even wrote my 10 things article. I said don't play Ingram this week with the matchup, because Philly's been good against the run, even though Philly sucks, but they're at least good against the run. Lindsey's got this backfield to himself with Gordon out. I think he was already somebody who all offseason they were saying that Lindsey looked better than Gordon, even though they gave him all this money. Lindsey proved last year he can handle the load. So I am 100% on Lindsey. And Ingram, if you're able to get half-eaten ham sandwich for Ingram, do it. He's unfortunately, I think he's fallen off that cliff. They got Gus Edwards, they've got Lamar Jackson who can run the ball in the backfield. They got J.K. Dobbins. It's not the situation that it was last year. So I want no part of Ingram. Dan, what you think?
Yeah, it's definitely Lindsey. I actually dropped Ingram this week because he's just done nothing for me. And Lindsey's coming back healthy. He didn't show up on the injury report, I think, with his toe injury. With Gordon being out, the backfield is going to be majority his. I think Royce Freeman's going to get a couple of touches, but it's Lindsey.
It's Royce Freeman. So
yeah, exactly.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Lindsey. No question. Ingram is done. Just don't take a half-eaten ham sandwich from anybody outside of your bubble. We still do have a pandemic going on, so you got to be careful there. However, if it's within your family, take the ham sandwich, no question. Lindsey's a smash play this week. I know that people talk about the Patriots defense, but the fact is their top 2 run stoppers did opt out from COVID with Hightower and Chung. They are giving up yardage. I mean, they've had a pretty favorable schedule, but they gave up 115 to the Seahawks, 116 to the Raiders, even 66 to the Chiefs when they were keying in on CEH. I mean, it's realistically, this isn't the defense that you're expecting, and I think Lindsey's going to put up numbers against my hometown Pats.
All right. We're going to jump to Matt Ryan. He's struggling a little bit with everything that's going on with that Julio. Would you buy, sell, or hold Matt Ryan? And Dan, we'll jump to you on this one.
I'm going to buy him. Everyone's been down on him, and maybe rightfully so, but he still has a ton of weapons. Julio's going to be coming back. He's going for pretty cheap. You'd think he lost a leg or something.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand the Matt Ryan hate. But yeah, he's a definite buy for me.
Mike, what you think? You buying, you selling, you holding Matt Ryan?
Easy buy. I mean, look at the calendar. It's an even numbered year. Julio's back. Matt Ryan is a smash play in even years. I would sell him for next year if you can. But if you just look back in his history, he's going to put up numbers this year. I just think this is a fact of Julio being out. Ridley was hampered with an ankle injury. Gage had a concussion. You had everything going against Matt Ryan, and I think he has everything going for him moving forward. He's an easy buy for me, and I think he's going to be back to that top 6-7 quarterback you're looking for.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree. He's a big time buy for me, And a lot of people forgetting because Julio Jones is the big name that's been injured, but like you said, Gage has been hurt. Ridley's been hurt. I use the RotoViz Splits app just to look at Matt Ryan's career stats with or without Julio. Not surprisingly, his interceptions go up, his completions go down, his passing yards goes down by roughly 40 yards a game. So it's proven in the stats that his numbers go down when Julio's not in the lineup. The defense is abysmal. They're averaging 40 pass attempts a game. There's always going to be a positive game script with this team. He's got the weapons. I think that getting rid of Dan Quinn is going to do wonders for this offense. Todd Gurley can catch the ball too. It's, granted he's not Todd Gurley from a few years ago, but he's shown some flashes that he's capable. So I'm definitely looking to buy Matt Ryan everywhere you can. So this is a very interesting topic. I know you guys were talking about it earlier. Is Antonio Brown worth a bench stash? Dan?
No.
Mike?
Nope.
All right.
Let me rephrase that. I hope someone in my league picks him up. That a good player actually gets put on waivers so I can pick him up.
Let me say that it's not, and you're welcome, Jason. And touch on what he said. I want to drop in for a while. It's hard to, especially when it's a big name like that, where you see what he's done in the past. When they're just not producing, sometimes you just got to cut bait. It's hard to drop a guy like that. When you see, like, he was dropped in my home league this week, and you see him floating out there, and it's tempting because it's like, you see 90% rostered, and you see Mark Ingram out there on the waiver. But if you just look at it, sometimes you just got to cut bait. But let me preface the Antonio Brown talk about I would not drop anybody that is potentially going to start for your team, whether it's buys, anything like that. But the end of your roster, you should be churning it. You should be looking for that lottery ticket, something that could you're paying nothing for it. So why not Antonio Brown? It's 2 weeks, his suspension is going to be over. The rumor mills already had him connected to Seattle, Houston, Baltimore. Philly needs a wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing rumors about that. Whether you think he's going to play or not, look at the trades that were going through for Lev Bell before it was sure that he was going to go to Kansas City. If he would have went to Buffalo, his value would be a lot less than it is right now. So people pay for hype. Players' trade value is at its highest when they're coming back from injury and when they're coming back from suspension, because all the hype starts talking and nobody knows what's going to happen. So I think you could do a lot worse. I'm not saying, go out and drop somebody that's valuable, but if you got an extra roster spot an extra bench spot that you've got Golden Tate or Mark Ingram or somebody like that, there's no ceiling, there's no upside with them. I'd much rather just throw Antonio Brown on the end of it and see, give it a few weeks if you could trade him, or if he does sign with somebody, you've got somebody of value for free. If not, you can drop him. So
here's the best I'll say, because I use all your logic as change the name. I do have Josh Gordon on the end of a few of my benches. And I would take him over Brown right now, just with the way things are going. I just don't see Brown keeping his head on straight for very long. So,
yeah, hopefully, he's got some supposedly got some help. So hopefully he's back to normal Antonio Brown. But we'll see. We're gonna move on to our rookie risers and fallers. Stan's article he does power rankings for going for 2 once a week with the rookies. Dan, we'll start with you. The first one that you're going to talk about is your riser, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I think that CeeDee has proven that he's the real deal. in the Dallas offense, this is obviously before the Dak injury, he had more yards, more touchdowns on about 15 less targets than Amari Cooper. So Amari might be the wide receiver one, but with Lamb in the slot, he's a PPR machine. So I don't expect that to slow down. I think that he can only get better as the season progresses. So I'm all in on Lamb.
Mike, guy you were going to talk about is Justin Herbert. He's number 2 on the list for Dan's rookie risers. What do you think about Herbert?
Justin Herbert's an absolute stud. I think he is the exact reason why you should be very careful on Twitter when you're in your rookie drafts. He was an echo chamber. Somebody came up with the take that he was garbage. He wasn't a leader. Stay away from him. And he dropped like a rock. I mean, you're talking mid-second round, super flex draft pick. That is insane. Now, all he has done since he took over, since Tyrod Taylor got stabbed in the lungs, he threw for back-to-back 300-yard games.
I'd like to know how much money that he paid that doctor to stab him in the lung.
Well, I hope anyone in the Chargers did, because, I mean, everybody seemed to think Herbert was the guy except for Anthony Lynn, who I don't know how he could still stand up in press conferences and say Tyrod Taylor is the best quarterback. But this guy, back-to-back 300-yard games, then his yardage dropped off to 290 and 264. So I know, we have a little sad face. We threw 7 touchdowns in those 2 games, so I think we'll give him a little bit of a pass there. He has brought something to this offense that has just given them a boost. 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,200 yards in 4 games. And he has made Keenan Allen a top 10 wide receiver again. I love everything he's doing. I am all in with Herbert. Couldn't be more stoked to have him on a few of my teams, and I'm so happy I didn't listen to the Twitter folks and I grabbed him where I could.
Yeah, Twitter is definitely an echo chamber. You get few people that agree with one opinion, and if you go against the grain, people flip out. So it just that's why you got to think for yourself and not necessarily agree with the echo chamber all the time. But the thing is too with Herbert, he might have been the first quarterback off the board if he came out the year before. And people forget how highly touted he was the year before, and he decided to go back. It's very rare that guys go back and it works out for them. Only Trevor Lawrence is. I think he's going to be A-okay. He'll be the number 1 overall pick. But
Barkley, Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt Barkley,
Matt Barkley, the guy who went 101 in FBX, right? So.
Coach Saquon this year. I'm still betting on that one.
And Matt Barkley might have been the better pick, but I'm going to talk about Mapletron, Chase Claypool, who I don't like to give Dan much credit, but I will give him credit on this one. He has been on Chase Claypool from day one. He told me to pick him up in places. I did not. I wish I would have, but that's here nor there. But, what is there to say that hasn't been already said about this guy? He's just a monster. He had 4 touchdowns this week. Should have had 5. It was a terrible pass interference call. I think he has 5 touchdowns on the season. The injury for Johnson, it's still bothering him. So as long as he's out, man, the world is his oyster. I think he's got the connection with Big Ben. He's their number 1. I don't think Juju can handle being the number 1. I like the guy. I love him. Love his personality. He interacts with people on Twitter all the time. He's taken the fantasy football world in, but since he's been the number 1, he just can't do it. So it's unreal the Steelers, how they draft these mid-round wide receivers and what they turn into. Chase Claypool, I think, is going to turn into the wide receiver 1 on this team. And if you got him, I got him in a couple places in Dynasty. He's Calvin Johnson. I mean, that's what I see. That's why Mapletron's a perfect nickname for him, because he's a beast.
That was my favorite answer you ever gave.
Yeah, I know. And right for once.
That was on record.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to go down to some of the fallers, and Dan, we'll start with you on this one, Mr. Joe Burrow, who just a few weeks ago was he number 1 on your list?
He was. After that string of really good games.
Yep.
I only have him falling because he has a couple tough matchups. He had Baltimore and then going up against Indy, which is, giving up the fewest points to quarterbacks in fantasy. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think that these couple of matchups are going to be rough for him. He only had 183 yards and an interception last week, and I don't see him doing that much better this week.
Well, Mike, we're going to talk about, and this was even before the Le'Veon Bell signing, but CEH. So What you think?
So I tweeted out, I love chaos. I am team chaos. I will literally have my fantasy teams lose every game just to watch Twitter meltdowns. And after all those week 1 victory laps, after everybody saying, I told you so, he has done nothing for you. You're talking 206 yards in 4 games. I admittedly had him as my running back 1, the running back 1 last week, and he rewarded me with 40 yards rushing against the Raiders, 40 yards receiving, 3 receptions. Now, here's the thing, and we talked about this before the show. I am very much make my rankings before the NFL draft because people get emotional and situations change on the drop of a hat. So if you drafted CEH and Alvin Ryan, my boy from the pregame HQ,
yeah,
he had CEH as his top running back pre-draft. I respect that. And I still think this kid's got a future. But if you're going to cry about Le'Veon Bell now signing with the Chiefs, I'm going to tell you, never draft situation. Never, ever, ever. And that's why, for me, CEH was 5th pre-draft, and I moved him up to 3rd. I did give him a little bit of boost for a situation that does matter. I'm not saying it doesn't completely, but you don't put him over what could be generational talents. And to me, that was always Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. Swift isn't doing much right now. I'm still all on board with him, but Elaire now, his situation has gone down, his ability to score. And I think we overlooked a few things. Number one was only 1 year of production, and that was in a historic offense. And number 2, everyone told me that, well, Kansas City is going to be good for him because they throw the ball. Well, number 1, Elaire had 1 touchdown out of Burrow's 60 at LSU. So please don't tell me that he's a receiving back. Please don't tell me he's a scat back. He wasn't in college, and he isn't now. Number 2, his pass blocking isn't there. And pass blocking for rookies is literally a bench sentence. If you can't pass block, you're in trouble. You heard the whispers of Damian Williams before he opted out from COVID. You even heard whispers of Darrell Williams. I mean, you see what they were saying about this guy, and now his touches have decreased, and they'll continue to. And he's somebody that if you bought in and used a first-round pick in redraft, you get what you deserve.
Plain I was CEH Truther, but there's no way I was taking him in the 1st round.
Oh, of course. You saw him go, like I said, as high as 6 in redraft. No, now, in Dynasty, don't be stupid. Do not be stupid. Don't do anything rash. He still is a future. He's still in my Dynasty top 10. It's just not this year, and that's okay. That's not why we play Dynasty. We play Dynasty for the long term. He's a running, I think, Jay, you said it, running back 2 flex for the remainder of the year with the Le'Veon Bell signing. But he is still a top 10 Dynasty asset. If anybody has him dropping out of the top 10, buy at that price, please, because he's still got a future in this league. It's just not going to be this year.
Absolutely. Dan, your faller this week was, we talked about Joe Burrow already. So I'm talk about Jerry Jeudy. And it makes sense that you put him down as a faller, but I don't think it's his fault. It's more about injury and having Brett Ripien and Jeff Driscoll throwing the ball to him. I think Judy's a good buy low opportunity. Even with all the issues, he still had double-digit points in 3 of 4 games. He trails Tim Patrick in snap percentage, but he is targeted on more of his snaps, 15% to 10%. He still leads the Broncos in targets with 28 and reception yards with 234. So I agree with him being a faller just based on the situation and how other guys have stepped up when it comes to rookies. But I think Jeudy is a good buy low. And if somebody is panicking, I would definitely be targeting Jeudy. So we're going to roll on to a portion we call Your Shot. Basically, me and Dan have a season-long bet. Whoever gets more of these right, the other person will get to design a Twitter avatar that the other guy has to use for the entirety of the playoffs through the Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting.
Who's winning?
Last week, what's that?
Who's winning?
Dan is winning currently 2-1. Our guests are 1-1 so far. Ray, who was our first guest, didn't get his, but excuse me, Troy got his last week. We all saw Troy talking about Todd Gurley, and that was his call. Todd Gurley was RB1 last week, so give up for my guy Troy. He hit the nail on the head with that one. So we're going to start with you, Mike. What is go ahead and call your shot for week 6.
So my shot, and I'm sorry to Jay, you're a Giants fan, and I apologize for this one, but Antonio Gibson will have more than 20 PPR points this week. He is going to go off. I think he's going to be monstrous. The Giants not only are bad against running backs, they're giving up, I think, 95 yards a game, but where they're also getting gashed right now is on catches out of the backfield. They're giving up 5 receptions on average to running backs, and that's really where Gibson makes his money. I mean, this is a wide receiver turned running back, but you get him in space, he's going to go. I'm expecting swing passes, screen passes. I think they're going to feature him this week, and I think he's going to have a monster game. So I'm going to go 20-plus PPR for Gibson.
I definitely see that happening. When you said the Giants are bad against, you could have just said the Giants are bad.
Period.
Yeah, because that's a statement of fact. It's the truth. Unfortunately, it's a dumpster fire right now. Hopefully Gettleman's gone after this year, but my call your shot for this week is going to be a guy that we've talked about frequently tonight. My boy Laviska Shenault is going to go for 20 points, as well as he will get a touchdown and a combined rushing and receiving yards combined over the century mark. So I'm going for 3 things: 20 points, 100 yards total, and a touchdown.
Wow. I'm going to go with my boy Travis Fulgham. I think against Baltimore, he isn't a flash in the pan. I think he repeats what he did last week. He has 100-plus yards and 20-plus points in PPR.
Yeah, I could see that happen. So we're going to wrap up here, Mike. What we've been doing with our guests right before we end things. Normally it's Thursday, so we say get your flex guys out of flex and put them in the running back or wide receiver slot. But we also want to learn a little bit more about you. What's something interesting about you that the fantasy football Twitter community does not currently know?
Oh, man. So I guess the most interesting thing about me is I used to compete in powerlifting.
Really?
That was my thing. I was a late starter. I believe I was about 28 years old. I walked into a gym. I was squatting about 140 pounds. I was deadlifting about 150. And I said, hey, I'm fat and, I need to get in shape. So I joined this gym and I turned into a power lifter. Right before my last injury, I was squatting about 475 raw, which means just a belt at 190 pounds. I was deadlifting over 500. So, not much in terms of the powerlifting community, but that was, I think that was my favorite part about my friend's rebuttal, Mr. Podfather, when he said I sounded nervous that he might knock on my door. I had a hard time holding that in because you see my face. I'm from the hood and I'm 6 feet 220. Anyone knocks on my door, I don't get too nervous all that often. But yeah, and actually, Jay, for you, one of the competitions I did was called Mayhem at the Meadowlands, where I actually competed at MetLife Stadium, flipping a 1,000-pound tire and doing some box jumps onto it. And right when it opened, it was actually the first year I think it opened. So I was doing pull-ups on the 50-yard line. It was a lot of fun. Like that was probably the coolest competition I've ever done. It was a lot of feats of strength, but that was that's probably the one thing I think people don't know about me is that my background is more fitness than anything else.
Yeah, we learned last week that Troy used to rap in college, so now we got that. That's definitely knew about everybody. That's cool. I still have yet to go to MetLife. I haven't had a chance to go there yet. I went to Old Giant Stadium, but haven't been to MetLife just yet. So that's definitely on my bucket list. I have to go up and see it. And we also end every show. Dan and I are both in agreement that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He is the best basketball player of all time. And we ask our guests as well, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Please. Please. Okay, so we'll break it down like this.
Also, this has bearing if you're going to be invited back on the show, just so you know, throwing it out there before.
No, that's fair. So let me try the breakdown. who didn't have to leave, who didn't have to pick a supporting cast, who has the rings, and honestly, who is the pettiest motherfucker in NBA history, who you say anything about this dude and he will dunk on you like nonstop. I love it. Let me preface this because I don't want to lose too many followers. I love all of you under 30 people. I do. I love you. Don't leave, but y'all are idiots. Seriously, watch The Last Dance. I lived those times. I was actually up and coming when Bird and Magic were doing it. I was lucky enough to live in Boston during the greatest rivalry in sports history, which was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, through college up into the pros. And then Jordan showed up. And I remember Jordan going up against literally I still say the greatest single season basketball team of all time, that Celtics year where they had Hall of Famers coming off the bench. And Jordan almost willed a team of nobodies. He almost took out the greatest team of all time by himself. There is no competition. Jordan would eat LeBron's lunch and send him home crying. This isn't even close for me. I still find it comical. It's easy. This is an easy one. It's Jordan. LeBron is number 2. Just ahead of my man Bill Russell, who won 10 championships in 11 years. Still, that will never be touched again. But yeah, I mean, I give props to LeBron. He's done some good stuff, but there's no other Michael Jordan.
Anybody could reasonably say that he's not one of the best players of all time. It's obvious.
Oh no, he's 2. It's just there's one is just so far ahead, like an Usain Bolt race, right? Like Bolt is gonna win. Someone came in second. I never know who. Right. LeBron James is second. He's just not. He's not neck and neck. He's it's a huge difference between the two, in my opinion. Jordan is the consummate winner, and you can't get me off of that train.
We've had 3 guests on, and it is 3-0 Michael Jordan. So we're picking the right guest, obviously. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. I hate that everything happened. Twitter went down. I think Troy and Mike's mustache has shut down Twitter on Thursday. But we pushed to Saturday, so not our normal show, but we'll be back next week. We're actually going to have 2 shows next week. We'll be tweeting out some information. We got some pretty cool guests lined up for next week. You can find Dan on Going for 2. He does a weekly rookie power ranks. I do a 10 things to know for whatever week we're in on Sleeper Wire. On Going for 2, I also do a start state for Sleeper Wire. Mike, tell us where we can find your work.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at DaddysHomeFF, and you can find me every Wednesday at 8 p.m. hosting the Fantasy Intervention. Follow us at @joinourcircle_, where you're going to get all the latest information. We're putting our podcasts out there. We're doing quick shots, and also you can find anything that I write on the pregamehq.com from Mr. Elvin Ryan.
Before we go, I just want to say, Mike, that video from the beginning of the season is still the best thing on fantasy Twitter. I can't leave without mentioning that. That is still
that's still pinned at the top of your profile.
Oh yeah, so it's still pinned at the top of my profile. Like I said, it's I guess if you guys have a second to indulge me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what? It's Saturday night. Who cares?
Go for it.
We're already here, right? So
go to his page right now and go watch it after we turn off the feed. You have to go watch it. But give us the story.
Oh man, so that changed everything. So 2 things happened over the past 6 months, and I know I have nothing but respect for everyone in the fantasy community. So many people worked their asses off to get to where they got to, and my stupid ass just fell into this. I just fell into fantasy Twitter. Think 4 months ago I had 80 followers. 14 of them were related to me. I think 7 of them were porn bots. So I was nobody. And 2 things happened. Scott Fish posted on Father's Day and said, tell me a story about Father's Day. I have a couple fishbowl spots open. And I posted a card that my son wrote. It said, my whole life I've just wanted to be like you, Dad. I cried like a baby. I shouldn't even say I got misty, like literally waterworks. It was like Niagara Falls.
Fully understandable and respected.
Oh, of course. So I tweeted it out to Scott, not expecting anything. Legitimately, I just like Scott. Like Scott Fish is just a good dude. Oh, of course.
it's just unbelievable.
Oh, he's the best. So I tweeted it out, not thinking anything of it. So I wake up the next morning, like forgetting I had even done it, and I have my invitation to the fishbowl. So that starts things. Oh yeah. So then I get lined up next to Matt Kelly, the Podfather, literally right next to him, and I get this video in July, and
I remember seeing the video.
Oh, I was in tears laughing. Again, we talked about. Not a lot of people shit talk me in real life. I'm a fairly large human being, so I love it. Like I loved it, and I literally tweeted to him saying, like, someone of your physical stature having this confidence is awe-inspiring, and I'm so proud of you for it. And he trashed us up, down, sideways. And I happened to draft right next to him. So what happened was I woke up after beating him week 1, and my league mates were so happy. We have our private chat with 11 of us because he won't join us, which is fine. I mean, I understand he's probably got things to do, right? But
you know what? We have our league chat too, and I'm in with Shane Battier, like NBA champion, NCAA champion, and he had time to join the chat. Like, come on, like, and he's in there talking junk with us. Like that's the best part about the Scott Fish Bowl for me is the relationships you build. Being able, like, I'm a Duke fan, like to be able to be in a chat with Shane Battier, like my life is made. Like that's
amazing.
Fun.
That's amazing. And so let me tell you, this isn't to insult anybody. I'm new to this. I had no friggin' clue who this dude was. A video came out, and I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, these guys get a nickname, like we're all pictures online, whatever. So I'm like crying, laughing. But so I told my league mates, I'm like, I made a video, go check it out. I expected 10 views. So now that we've eclipsed 18,000, I'm certainly thrown off. I think it was like 170,000 impressions. Like, I don't know how many engagements, and people that like I've followed my whole life are like following me, like, and I was floored. I had to put down my phone for 2 days because it would not stop beeping. Like I went hiking, like I went in the woods for a while, and then I'm trying to like thank as many people as I can for coming out or whatever. But I always want to make it clear, and you guys know me, you follow me on Twitter, but I always like to make it clear, like most people's first impression of me was that video. It was fun. It was always fun, and everything I say is fun. I honestly don't care about much of anything. I tweet with a smile on my face. I talk shit with a smile on my face. Jay, we talked about, I'm an Italian from Boston. I shit talk. That's what we had. That's what we do. So I know a few people thought that, like, oh, you're a savage. I'm the worst at that. Like, I legitimately, like, I apologize just for being awkward all the time. But man, that changed everything. I went from 86 followers to wherever I'm at now, 15, 1600 in 3 months. And I honestly don't know what to do with myself. Guys like you that I've followed for a while, like invite me on podcasts, like Chase giving me a permanent spot. This has been a friggin' whirlwind, but it's been fun. So I'm just enjoying every second of it.
Dan and I literally, when that video came out, I sent it to Dan. I said, we have to have this guy on. That was, and then we'd interacted on Twitter before that already. And then, you got we're in a couple group chats together, and it's just been, and like you said, if people think that to take things seriously, like that's not us at all. Like it's all about having fun and just joking around. And so we knew you were a perfect fit for, that's the type of atmosphere that we have on the show. So really appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely have you on again, especially since you decided to have the right take that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. But if you're following these guys, you can follow Mike at DaddysHomeFF. You could follow Dan at EagleDanFF. You could follow me at GMNJ. I hope everybody has a great night and a good weekend. And good luck in all your matchups this week.